You're listening to The Drive Home on Newstalk 710 KURV along with Kennedy LaFave. I'm Davis Rankin. Kennedy LaFave was named after the man whose day we're marking today, John F. Kennedy. And we have, of course, every year there's talk about did Lee Harvey Oswald act alone? Was he a pawn? Was he in league with other people? Here's a man who says he knows the answer to that. Dr. Jerome CORSY has written a book called Who Really Killed Kennedy? 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. How are you?
I'm great. Good to be with you, gentlemen.
Dr. Corsi, before we get into everything, I know Davis has a bunch of questions. Does 50 years, that marks a big legacy. What does that mean, and why is this such an important topic, talking about President Kennedy?
Well, I think for most Americans who were alive at the time, it was one of those moments in American history where you'll never forget where you were. Very much like for those alive and remembering the World Trade Center, the same kind of moment.
Hmm.
And it's a defining moment in American history. I think a lot changed with the death of Kennedy. A sense of the innocence of America. We moved into the Vietnam War. We went through the racial riots. It was the first of a series of assassinations, including Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King. So it was a very much turmoil in America. The time was tumultuous, and it was a defining moment that seemed to mark a turning point from innocence into this nightmare of foreign and domestic reality.
So who did it?
Well, I'd say it is a plot. I believe that it was the CIA, Allen Dulles, after he was fired in the Bay of Pigs. Jack Kennedy refused to commit a military strike, felt he had been duped by the CIA, would not fight a series of CIA-lying wars, including Vietnam, including Laos, where Jack Kennedy would not commit U.S. troops. And the mob and the CIA had been working together on assassinations and black ops since the 1950s in Guatemala, where I believe the plan, the model for the Kennedy assassination was set in a coup d'etat the CIA pulled off with the mob in Guatemala in the 1950s.
Who was that? Was Arbenz?
Arbenz, yes. And in fact, then after Arbenz was deposed with a fake CIA army invading Guatemala, E. Howard Hunt had created, later Bay of Pigs and then Watergate fame. Arbenz took over, and the CIA decided to kill him. The assassin was supposedly a palace guard who shot Arbenz when no one saw the palace guard do it. Then the palace guard shot himself, and the CIA had the patsy, the person blamed with the assassination, dead, and E. Howard Hunt, Eisenhower, and Edward Bernays, who represented the PR representative of the banana firm, United Fruit Company, on whom this assassination was done, celebrated photo session in the White House. But this was the model of an assassination coup d'etat, a patsy who's dead, no trial, no investigation, circumstantial evidence convicting the person in the press. And the CIA used that model over and over again, I believe, including working with the mob and killing Jack Kennedy.
Now, did I hear you say Eisenhower, like as
yes.
in Dwight David Eisenhower?
Dwight David Eisenhower was president when the Guatemala
you're right.
coup d'etat occurred. In fact, all of the mob working together with the CIA, including the original plots to kill Castro, started under the Eisenhower administration, when the CIA, Allen Dulles, authorized an approach to Robert Mayhew, who was mob-related, working for Howard Hughes, and there was a meeting with Johnny Rosselli in the New York Hilton Hotel during the Eisenhower administration, doing the first recruiting of the mob to work with the CIA in these assassination plots.
Well, what evidence do you find? Number one. Number two, I have to assume, I don't know my mob history, but I have to assume that they had been penetrated by the FBI at some level, and that they talked.
Well, in fact, there are a series of confessions by Carlos Marcello when he was in prison. He was the mob boss in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
He participated in and organized the Kennedy assassination. There's going to be a movie made of those, should be out shortly, of those confessions. And Sam Giancana in Chicago confessed to his confidants, and Santos Trafficante in Tampa confessed to his lawyer, Frank Ragnano, who wrote a book on it. So there's quite a bit of mob confession and FBI documentation of these confessions that is now in the public record. It was even reviewed by the House Select Assassinations Committee in the 70s, which concluded, most Americans don't realize this, but it repudiated the Warren Commission and concluded there was a 95% chance of a second shooter, meaning a conspiracy.
Are you saying that Oswald acted alone but was part of a conspiracy, or do you believe he was not the only person shooting that day?
No, I think Oswald was not a shooter at all, but he was in the lunchroom. In fact, most people don't realize the 5 million pages released in the National Archives, and I've, over the years, been studying a great number of them. There is the internal workings of the Warren Commission. Lee Rankin, the chief counsel, writes a memo to the Warren Commission in January '64 and says, we've got a problem. Lee Harvey Oswald might have been a FBI agent. He has a number, an FBI number. He's being paid a monthly stipend for information. And the FBI in Dallas destroyed part of Oswald's file. And then also there's a CIA file. The commission knew this, which tracked Oswald since 1960, and it was being kept by James Angleton, who was tracking loyal military who were recruited by the CIA to defect to the Soviet Union as if they were communists, and the purpose was to penetrate the KGB. Now, when the Warren Commission found out this information, and by the way, the CIA file for Lee Harvey Oswald ended up being about a 50,000-page file. When the meeting occurs on January 27, 1964, and Allen Dulles, who's on the committee, even though he was fired by Jack Kennedy from the CIA after the Bay of Pigs, Allen Dulles says, we have to suppress this information. It's too damaging to the agencies, and it was one of the key issues on which the Warren Commission lied to the American people and said there was no relationship between Lee Harvey Oswald, the FBI, and the CIA, when in fact there was quite a lot of evidence that demonstrated a relationship that may have made him an agent that day. Why
would the mafia want to get rid of John Kennedy? And Allen Dulles was mad because he'd been fired over the Bay of Pigs.
And also, Allen Dulles, remember the CIA wanted to fight a whole series of wars that Jack Kennedy would not fight. Jack Kennedy did not fight in Laos. The CIA and the military were desperate to fight there. He would not fight in Vietnam. He was pulling out of Vietnam. Kennedy was considered a pacifist. Kennedy did not believe in these, third world wars, which he thought as colonial wars. Few people realize Jack Kennedy had been in Saigon in 1951. He saw it firsthand. So the regime is corrupt. The French need to be out of here. Jack Kennedy gave speech after speech on the floor of the Senate attacking the French for their colonialism in Algeria and saying that Algeria should be free. Kennedy did not believe in these wars in Southeast Asia or the colonial countries. And with regards to the mob, I tell the story fully in Who Really Killed Kennedy. But the mob there was an alliance between the Kennedy family and the Western mob, the Elkins family, that most people don't know anything about. They were the lead witnesses, J.B. Elkins, the major crime boss in the West, in the McClellan Committee hearings. He had the information of how the mob was penetrating the Teamsters in the West. They were Protestant, the Elkins, and they lined up with the Kennedys. Joe Kennedy had been rejected by the Italians and the Jews of the Eastern mob in the 1930s. He wasn't part of their club. And the Kennedys went on a revenge match against the Eastern mob. When Bobby Kennedy was appointed Attorney General, his father insisted that he prosecute the Eastern mob, which Bobby Kennedy did, but he did not prosecute the Western mob.
So this was the Eastern mob getting back at their persecutors.
It was Joe Kennedy getting back at the Eastern mob for not accepting him in the 30s with forming an alliance with the Western mob to do it.
We'll have to let that be the appetizer for the full meal because we don't have any more time. But maybe people will go to the bookstore or go to online and order the book, which is out now. Jerome CORSY, Dr. Jerome CORSY, is the author of Who Really Killed Kennedy? 50 years later, stunning new revelations about the JFK assassination. Dr. Corsi, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
A great pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. I'm Davis Rankin with Kennedy LaFave. This is 710 KURV.